Hello everyone, and thank you for joining this episode of UC Tech Chat. My name is Jason Mefford. I'll be your host. I'm joined by Matthew Hilton, who is Digium's Switchvox Product Marketing Manager. Today we're going to be talking about comparing pricing for UC solutions. All right, Matthew, so let's dive right in. I know I have a phone system project. We budgeted, we planned. How do I narrow it down to 3 to 5 potential vendors?
Sure. So every vendor is going to quote you something a little bit differently. They're all going to look a little bit different on paper. So really, when you're trying to whittle down to the say top 3 to 5 contenders in the space, really what you're looking for is your value for each quote that you're getting. So you're looking to look at the overall quote that each vendor provides you, and you're looking to make sure that it's going to solve whatever business process that you're looking to go through. So whether or not you're looking to get a whole lot of features and really improve your overall business communications plan, or whether or not you're just looking to replace an existing system that's no longer working for you. When you're trying to whittle down the different quotes, that's really what you want to look for, is you want to look for what your main objective is.
Okay. I know from a lot of vendors' perspectives, they may call things different, they may have different names for things. How do you narrow it down to determine what one quote from one vendor, how do you compare it to the others? Sure,
and especially if you're not familiar with the telecom space, there's a lot of buzzwords out there that you might not be familiar with. So it can be a little bit complex and a little bit scary to look at different quotes from different vendors. So for me, what I really like to do is boil it down to 4 main categories. The first being network hardware and services. So of course your voice over IP solution is going to require a network to run on. So each quote should be prepared to discuss that with you. The next would be the main core platform of the unified communication solution. The third category being additional hardware, licensing, add-ons, things like that. And then the fourth is really going to be the installation services as well. So when you boil them all down into those 4 categories, that helps to kind of level the playing field. You don't necessarily have to look at individual line items to understand what you're getting from each vendor.
If I have a quote that's a 15-page quote versus a 2-page quote, is the bigger, longer, more complex quote always better, or how do I compare and contrast those?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, the interesting thing about unified communications right now is you've got legacy vendors that have been in the space in the telecom world for 15, 20, 30 years. Then you've got some newer players that have maybe only been in for the last 5 or 10. And really, there's a fundamental difference in terms of how they tend to quote their solutions to you. So a traditional legacy vendor, oftentimes they came from a world where they were selling you legacy phone systems that had plug-in cards, and they added on features and functions by physically bolting things onto a system. And so those quotes tend to reflect that today, where they still have individual line items for different types of components or features. Whereas the younger players in the space tend to do in a more all-inclusive functionality, and so you have less line items. So it doesn't necessarily mean that one is better or worse for you. Again, it kind of goes back to looking at the overall picture and what are you getting for on that particular quote.
Okay. Now that I've narrowed it down to 3 to 5 vendors, how can I truly distinguish which vendor is right for me as a business owner?
Sure. So again, without having to necessarily know what the individual technologies or terminologies are, what you're really trying to solve there is what is a business process that you're trying to improve? Do you have a particular problem that your current communication solution doesn't allow you to address? Are you trying to improve, say, call flows for your individual employees or users? And so really you can kind of take everything out of the quote itself and really just look holistically at the business process aspect and how well does that particular vendor's quote address your concerns.
The business process rings true for me. For my sales team, one of the things when we do demos is we don't make it about features, we make it about solving the business needs of that customer and then mapping our features to their needs. So that hit right home. Thank you everyone for joining this episode of UC Tech Chat. We appreciate your time and look forward to you attending our next episode. Thank you.